Welcome to the Dating Mechanic Show. On today's show, we have joining us Jara Clark. She's a health and wellness influencer and the creator of the Fit Goddess Tribe. Her brand helps to transform Black families' lives by increasing their lifespan. She's helping with them being balanced in their physical and mental, emotional, and social well-being. So grab a beverage and join us on the couch for today's show right after these messages. Thank you for tuning in to the Dating Mechanic Show. Don't forget to check out our ice cream. No, not that ice cream, but ice massage cream. Our Silky Shea formula not only soothes and relaxes, but also keeps your skin deeply moisturized. It's perfect for those intimate massage sessions with your partner or simply as a luxurious self-care treat. Want to support the show? You can purchase Ice Massage Cream easily on Amazon or just head over to thedatingmechanic.com.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, turn on your ears and open up your heart because you know dating each other out here today is definitely a fine art. So, to get us off to a great start, please welcome the one and only dating mechanic herself, Miss Alicia Bennett.
So here we are with Jara Clark. Hey, girl. Hey.
Hey, girl.
We're going to have a great conversation today about health and wellness. Now, relationships, they encompass everything, every part of our lives. And, I like to tell people relationships are all about wholeness. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We are touching your physical, your mental, your emotional. Every part of you is affected by relationships. And so that's why it's very important for us to not only focus on, the physical aspects of our relationships, but also the emotional and all the mental things that come with us. Relationships take a toll on us, whether they are romantic or friendships. And so we want to make sure that we are taking care of our health all the way around and not just, focusing on one thing.
Oh, exactly right.
How are you, Miss Ma'am?
Man, well, I'm kind of on cloud nine. It's the great 38, and it has been phenomenal as a mother, as an entrepreneur, just as an individual.
Okay, very good, very good. You're knocking on 40. Let me tell you, when you get there, a lot of things don't even matter no more. My over 40 folks, y'all already know. When you get to 40, things just start dropping off of care.
I've heard, and every year I'm blessed to have the elders in my corner to be like, yo, it really ain't that big a deal.
It's really not that serious.
So I have always been practicing how to be like, okay, I don't care. How when you're younger, you do, and you're like, how do I not do that thing? Because
in your 20s, you care about everything.
Everything. to the manner that it's like, why are you even bothered with
the
this?
older people are like, Look at them. look at them over there.
Look at them just doing all this stuff.
Doing all this stuff. I tell you. However, I have been watching you, and I know some other people out there have been watching you do your fitness thing. And we've watched you over the last couple of years.
Man.
I want to know how you got into that. But first,
okay.
Let's, I always like to, whatever the show is about, I always like to kind of define what we're talking about. And we are talking about prioritizing your self-care, guys, and how you're going to create a healthier family dynamic,
right.
In your immediate family, but also in the community.
Ooh.
Okay, so that's what we're talking about today, girl.
Thing.
So what does self-care mean?
Okay, so self-care is more than just eating well and working out.
Okay.
It's really trying to prioritize balance in your life so that it creates inner peace and resilience. We really want to focus on the idea of me first is not a bad thing. Because the better I am, right? Creating a better relationship with myself allows me to be better to everybody I want to be in service to.
Okay. So a lot of people say, they don't say, but a lot of people feel like if I'm focusing on me, if I'm doing my thing, if I'm doing my self-care, I'm being selfish and I'm not,
you're not being the good insert
person, wife, mother, whatever.
It's
right?
crazy. The capitalist system that we live in makes us feel like we must give legit everything to everyone else. And then especially as Black women, especially as mothers, caretakers, without adding any kind of profession, we are taught from birth that we're supposed to give everything to everybody else and put ourselves last. But the equation doesn't work. If I have nothing to give and I'm still trying to give to other people, what am I really giving? And then you got to think about the resentment that builds up from that. You got to think about the frustration that builds up from that and what that turns into. Now you're not serving up love anymore. You're serving up resentment, or you're serving up, I did it under duress. I had to do it. I had to be a good mom. Now you don't even enjoy the thing that you started out doing. I had to be a good wife.
And so you become bitter in that. Now you're serving up bitter and not really serving up love.
Correct.
As we should, right? You have gone on your fitness journey, and I've watched you over the years. How did you get started? And what made you, I guess I'm asking, what made you get started in your fitness journey? Because I know as moms, we get the mom bods and, and it's fine for a while. And we're content with it, knowing that we are serving.
Correct.
Our purpose, our children, we're doing the things. But then it gets to a point where we're like, okay, the child's 8.
And I still look like I just had a kid.
I still have this mom bod and I'm still wearing the mom jeans and all the things. So how did you get into, and why did you get into it?
So the why is hilarious.
Okay.
It was towards the end of a relationship. Me and my kid's father, he has been the catalyst for so many things. And although we don't work well together in that regard, like romantically, there are so many things that I gleaned from our relationship that made me pivot. So towards the end of the relationship, he was like, you don't have any goals. And I was, guffaw, shocked and amazed. What do you mean I have no goals? I want to be the best wife and the best mother. But I wasn't actually doing well for myself. I was running the streets, trying to get the boys to their different activities and helping him when he needed. But there was no one doing those things for me. However, I'm first responsible for myself. So him saying that made me go back through my journals. And I found where I was like, well, I want to love myself more. So I got locks. And then I was like, I have a little problem with the weight, but we'll deal with that later. And this is before kids.
Okay.
So I already felt a way about how I was treating myself before kids. And it wasn't until after kids that somebody had to be like, hey, what about you? What about your goals? And from there, I was like, well, if you find something worth dying for, you might as well live for it. And I want to live for my kids.
Okay. All right. I like that. You found yourself something worth dying for.
And I chose to live for it.
And now, is that the same something?
Yes.
That I can choose to live for.
Right.
And that works. I think that's a great way of looking at of things. We always think of it in that way.
Right.
Like, even when people say, well, what do you want people to say, at your funeral? That's always like that question. And I always change that around and I always say, what do you want people to say at your 100th birthday party?
Ooh.
Or your 80th birthday party? Because that feels more like
alive.
Yes.
So we had to, in 8th grade, we had to write our obituary.
8th grade?
Yes. So I went to a Catholic school. Different.
Yes, that's a whole different dynamic.
Correct. So we are very spiritual, even though it's Christian-based, Catholic-based. And they made us look at ourselves. Then I went to high school and I got to choose an elective, which was my humanities class. And again, now we're talking about spirituality in a myriad of different ways and how cultures define life and death. And we're being asked to be like, well, what are you going to do in that dash in between? Because that's really all that matters, is that dash in between. And as a child, I was suicidal. So that moment, that teacher really allowed me to see myself. Now, again, life happens and you stop. But I always can go back to that moment and be like, oh, man, I really want to make the most of this dash.
Absolutely. So now you are looking at journals. You are going back to what you envisioned for your life. And what made you say, okay, it's fitness time. let me go hard?
Interestingly enough, fitness has always been the underlying thing that has kept me sane. And I'm fortunate, thanks for social media. There's so many people that have reconnected with me from every stage of my life to be like, oh no, you've always done this. You have legit always been doing this thing. Whether it was nutrition and talking about, oh, we should eat healthy, you know, and people, oh, you're crunchy. And I'm like, I might be, but I'm okay with choosing to be healthy because I have one life. But yeah, I've always turned to some kind of physical expression to eliminate the pressures of life, whether it's the emotional stress, the physical stress, the imagined stress. I turned to movement in some way, shape, or form. So as a kid, it was riding a bike. I ride my bike all cross country.
Okay.
I still do that now. And then it became dance. But, you know, African-American moms are not as forgiving about the way we move our waistlines. So it wasn't something that I was allowed to practice in my mother's house, which then became funny because I became a dance fitness instructor.
Yes, all on the internet.
On the internet, popping and shaking. I remember she came to class one day and I was just too through because I was like, remember when you told me not to do this? And this is actually making me bread and butter. Showing people how to be okay with the fact that sometimes this happens when you gyrate, and it's not a negative thing. It's not an over-sexualized thing. It's just a life thing.
And it's so funny, you know, different countries, and you have the U.S. versus Africa. And in the U.S., we see movement as very sexualized.
Right.
And, you know, we're trying to keep our kids from doing it. And, you know, that doesn't look right in certain, you know, situations. And then you go to Africa and
It's
dance
normal.
is dance, and it's normal, and no one's looking at it in that way. It's celebration.
Right.
It's tribal celebration.
It's healing.
It's healing.
It's the ability to move your body. It's, for those that believe in the Bible, it's where they say make a joyful noise, or where he tells one of the disciples to stop and dance. Just move your body. Show gratitude for what I've given you, which is life and the vessel in which you live in.
And using your whole body to, like you said, be grateful, to praise, to,
Right.
you know, just accept that you're here, and that, you know, it's dancing is a way to release, you know, and we'll talk about this, but release stress and release, you know, all the things in your body that that are keeping you unhealthy.
Correct.
So so now you're on this journey, and you're starting out with this fitness, and you're bettering yourself in that way. Tell us a little bit about your journey, because how did that change your outlook on your life, on your self-esteem, on your, you know, all of those things?
That's a
because now you look different,
right.
right?
So it's tricky, because initially what I started saying, that I had to, as a people pleaser, I had to find something that would make it so I would do it. So because I wanted to do it for somebody, I became an instructor. Now I have to commit myself, not to myself, but to my students. I have to show up for my students. And then that pact between myself and my students, as my students kept growing, I had to be like, oh my God, if you really believe me, watch what I do. I will not be here at class tomorrow because I'm going to go live my life and do the things that I love the most. And eventually I won't be here anymore. Like Mary Poppins, I'm going to teach you all that I can, pack up my carpet bag and fly away. It became a real synergy until I decided that I was enough. Like, I am the reason that I need to do these things. And then there lies purpose. My purpose is to lead a life. I mean, technically, that's all our purposes, right? To lead a life worth living. If God created us, we are having or giving God the experience through ourselves. So why not put on a show?
Put on a show. What did that do for your self-esteem, though? Because now, like I said, you look different. And I know that it gives you a different outlook about yourself when you look different. You put on a new suit.
Right.
Can't nobody tell you nothing. You buy a new hat, you put on some new hair. You know
That
I mean?
part.
Like, no one can tell you anything. You know you bad. You know, it gives you a different air about yourself, the way you walk,
Right.
the way you talk.
Right.
You pick your head up off the ground, like
Correct.
all of those things. So what did fitness do for you? What did getting fit or being in a place where you're moving and you feel better and, you know, more healthy, what did it do for you?
Well, before the glamour of the change of appearance came, the shadow work came, the really dark parts of myself where I had to realize, oh my God, I'm not actually looking at myself. I'm getting up every day, washing my face. And this is partially because of how God made me. If I take my glasses off, I can't see.
Okay.
But outside of that, there are so many points in my life that because of my upbringing or just because of that repetitive thinking that I was avoiding seeing myself. So before, fitness first made me see myself. It made me stop and really look deep within myself and have to figure out why. Now, thank God for little boys, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have seen myself, but not in the feminine form. So I had to see how they were similar to me and see how I felt about them and how that didn't match up with how I felt about myself, even though their eyes are the same as my eyes and their lips are similar to my lips. But yet these are the things that I find repulsive about myself at this time. So now it's a lot of looking at yourself because you don't realize how much you haven't seen. You haven't seen the weight gain because you haven't been looking. You've been wearing clothes that don't tell you that it's happening because it's such a habitual thing that it goes unnoticed if you're not paying attention. Imagine you're not paying attention to yourself. But then after that, I had to start being like, okay, now that the pity part is over, I did it. I was terrible to myself. I didn't care about myself. I didn't love myself in the way that I could. And that's horrible. And it was very sad. But now you have to pick yourself up and be like, okay, we're working. We're doing something like, what's his name say? Kendrick says, you went the wrong way. So now I done turned around and I'm going the other way. And my motto started being, well, you can't hate something that you're working on. If you're practicing to be better, right, you got to start sucking somewhere. You got to be bad first before you're good. You got to be good before you're great, you know? So if I felt bad, I could no longer choose to feel that way. And I always tell people it's a feeling that I want to give. It's not the yams or the calf muscles or the biceps or the back. Those are all bonuses. What I want to give is the feeling of peace within your body where you can, oh, I'm getting a tickle. That's because I didn't do this, and this. I didn't sleep well. I didn't eat today. I didn't, meditate, journal, stretch. So now I have these ailments and I can feel them and I can readjust really quickly.
Okay. To be able to get yourself back to
maintain
or get yourself back to a place where you are feeling better about yourself and you're healthy and those types of things. We talk about earlier, we talked about, people feeling like they're selfish if they prioritize their self-care. So what are some misconceptions about self-care and why are people feeling so guilty about just taking care of themselves? Because like you said earlier, if I don't have anything to give,
right,
I can't give out. And if I'm giving out bitterness or resentment or, if I'm
then
not
wonder
giving
what
out
I'm
the
getting
love,
back.
right. And then we wonder why we get back that negative energy.
Correct.
If we're putting it out there. And it's not that we want to put the negative energy out there.
It's just
that's
there.
how we're feeling.
Correct. And we're not atoning to our feelings.
So why do people feel so guilty for prioritizing their self-care?
Okay, this takes it back to Western versus Eastern.
Okay.
We're not allowed to have pleasure. It's supposed to feel good. The body is supposed to feel good. The mind is supposed to feel good. Healthy feels good. But we've been taught to believe that healthy is bad. Oh, you must sacrifice to be healthy. You must put yourself through pain to be healthy. The food that you have to eat is disgusting if you're going to be healthy. Who wants to do it then? But if I tell you, oh my God, the food I eat is delicious. It makes me taste so sweet. It makes me happier. Then you're like, oh my God, she's happy. She's being pleased. She's pleasing herself. My word. Oh no.
It's funny that you say that because, here in the U.S., there's so many additives and things added to the food. Sugar is addictive, and it's added into everything so that we enjoy
Correct.
what we're eating. And so now our brain is saying, okay, if we eat the McDonald's or we eat the cupcakes,
I'll be satiated.
We're being fulfilled by that because our brain, the dopamine, the all of that, I'm getting this sugar addiction and I'm not realizing that it is an addiction.
Correct.
Because everything is happening inside my brain.
Correct. But this is why self-care is important, because it's a self-analysis. You have to become self-aware. You have to become patient with yourself. You have to start to show empathy for yourself, which when you begin to partner, those are key things that you need to do in order to support and understand somebody else. You have to have patience with them. You have to be able to empathize with them, and it's just,
So having more patience with ourselves.
Yes.
Right. So we're impatient with ourselves.
Correct.
But, and going back to how they try to trick us, to eat more of this bad food that we have out there. The healthy food costs more.
So that's a guise, right? Because if we grow our own food, it doesn't cost anything.
But who has time? Because we're in this rat race of life, working and all of the things. Who has time to grow? Like during the pandemic, we had all the time to grow and we grew and we did all the things.
I think during the pandemic, we really learned the value of time. So it's not about, because everybody has 24 hours, right? If you really wanted to grow food, maybe you got to get up at 5 a.m. It's not about what can be done. It's what you're willing to do.
This is true.
And with a healthy mind, everything seems possible. It's just a matter of organizing your thoughts and your steps, which is easier to do with a healthy brain because now you have better cognitive function. You're able to focus. There's impulse control. There's so many things that happen from caring about yourself. Like it's more than just, I put on makeup today and I did my nails, or even the darker sides of, dealing with whatever demons that you're going through. It's really, I am now balanced.
Because a lot of times people, and this is so many of us out here, and I'm not going to say us, there's so many people out there, because I don't do this in particular, but with the makeup, they're hiding their pain. With the certain clothes, they're hiding their, frustration with themselves or in that area. A lot of times we are masking instead of fixing.
Correct.
Right. So I'm going to wear bigger clothes, or I'm going to put out there that I'm being shamed. And, and have people get on the bandwagon of, you should accept me this way and I look fine.
Right.
Versus me saying, it's not that I don't look fine. It's that I don't feel fine.
Correct. And it's okay. But again, we're not taught words for emotions or emotions outside of what is inside out. Anger, joy, sadness, grief. A lot of us don't know anything past that. We don't know embarrassment. We don't know shame. We don't know guilt, because those sometimes are thought processes. Sometimes the thought of guilt comes before the actual feeling of guilt, and how you address solving that problem is different depending on what the actual emotion is. But again, we don't want to feel. We want to be joyous, and that's it. But joy and pain. That's the duality of life. There needs to be good and bad, or else we can't enjoy the good because there is no bad. Too much sun causes a drought. Too much water causes us to drown. We need to have the balance between both.
So how do people balance their, you know, a lot of times we go overboard. Like we're either one extreme or the other.
Right.
Balance is, and now there's this new thing about the balance is an illusion, and people are not going with balance anymore. They're just they're living day by day and all of all the things. Listen, whatever new philosophies are out there about creating balance in your life. And I was talking about, actually one of my Facebook friends we were talking about balance the other day, and I was telling her that balance looks different in different areas of your life. And the example that I used was balance. So say like if we had a really great friendship, we may not see each other but once a month.
Right.
Or once every couple of months. But that's balance in our friendship.
Right.
That's all we need.
Correct.
And we get that, and we get together and we have a great dinner, and
that's the thing. And it was like,
oh my God. And that was enough. And
Correct.
that filled me up until we needed it the next time.
Correct.
And so in that area, our friendship is balance, or what I need from a friendship
is balance.
That girlfriend time, that's balance.
Right.
Right. But something else I might need every day. Something else I might need
food.
every day. Right. Exactly. Yeah. We definitely need to balance that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that's why I say, everybody try to come up with the new philosophies for things, and it's things are the same. Things are the same. We try to come up with these new words and these new philosophies and all of these things, and it just complicates things in life. Let's just keep it real simple. Learning how to balance your life so that you're fulfilled,
right,
and you're a more happy person. So now how do we do that?
Well, this as a dating coach. You set boundaries and you make plans.
Okay.
So self-care, like you said, people like to make this big thing. Oh, I'm going to get fit in 6 months. But really, you're not going to die after you get fit. So after you get fit, then you have to maintain the fitness that you got. So instead of trying to impact all of that in 6 months, why don't you think, what can I do for 100 years? What do I enjoy doing that I can do till I decide to die? Was it riding your bike? Because there's so many benefits of that. Cardio, strength, balance. The action of going forward continuously is balance. I need that motion to be able to stay up on that bike. Is it roller skating? Is it dancing? Is it knife throwing? Is it swimming? Is it kayaking? Is it gardening? Like there's so many things that you can do that don't necessarily have to align with being in the gym.
And this is what I've said. And it's so funny you said that, because I've said this for years. Like I've had gym memberships and all the things, and I hate it.
Right.
I hate going to the gym. I go.
Right. But then why would you push yourself to do something you hate? Because now.
So this is why I walk. And this is why most of my exercising comes from walking, because that's what I enjoy doing. I will walk all over town. Like I'll look at, and it's like, oh, wait a minute. I got stuff to do. I remember one time I walked for 2.5 hours, and then I had to have somebody come and get me, because I was like to walk all the way. No, I walked 2.5 hours that away.
Not back.
Right, exactly. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I got stuff to do.
And that's why I bike, because you know what?
Okay.
I can get back just as fast and still not have to do as much work.
Okay.
Because I can coast and still get there. But at walking, you still
see, and then walking is not your thing. But
correct.
To me, walking is like the ultimate. And you can lose weight.
Absolutely. Walking
and
is the simplest thing that you can do. It's just moving
getting
your
those
body.
steps in every day. Exactly.
And most people are walking outside, so then you get the benefit of the sunlight. You get the benefit of natural oxygen, because most of the gyms have air conditioned, conditioned air. It's conditioned. It's not actual air. So as we're trying to breathe better, we're not breathing real air. So are we really breathing better? It's, you got to think about all of these things. And then they make it colder. They make it colder in all these places where there's lots of people because the cold helps kill the germs.
And all of
it makes sense. But
at the
what
same
we're
time.
trying to do is build our immunity, which certain things are required. Sunlight. We're plants. We're just plants.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. So we talked about, what was the things? So you, boundaries and planning.
Correct.
Okay. So how do we plan out making ourselves a priority?
We got to remember that we're big kids. And remember, as parents, kids need structure. Kids need routine. As we grow, that doesn't change. So create a morning routine. Create an evening routine. Make sure part of your evening routine is you prioritizing and visualizing what you need to do tomorrow. And then in the morning, make sure one of the first things you do is be grateful. Like, I don't understand how people wake up and take that first breath of air and are upset. Oh my God, I'm awake. Oh my God, you could not be. Right. Whoa. How do we get there? Like,
go back to sleep.
Go back to sleep, try it again. Because that is not, I don't understand. From a person who thought that not being present in this world would be better for the world and myself. And now seeing the benefits, the hard work, my sons growing and developing and what they're doing in the world. Imagine if I had made the choice to take that from everybody. I get up and I'm like, whoa, you've actually seen it a couple times. There was a time once where I was taking the boys to go volunteer. We got in a car accident. But that morning before I went and got in the car accident, I had posted how glad that I was to be alive. And then I remember posting about the accident and be like, yo, God really loves us, because if you see the car, we're still here. And you were like, it means something totally different. I'm like, yep, each time.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so funny because I actually wrote about being grateful today. I have a word of the day that I do on my page every day. And so, in that word of the day today, it was being grateful. It was talking about actually being grateful for the relationship that you have.
Correct.
And even though we're striving to be better in our relationships with one another, be grateful for what you've already achieved in your relationships.
That part.
Right? So when you get up in the morning, being grateful for the things that you've achieved in your life thus far, even though you're striving to be better every day,
right?
And, you're growing in different spaces and places and, all of that, still being grateful for, wow, I've come this far.
And I'm not stopping yet.
Absolutely. All right. So we have boundaries
and planning.
So So planning is, really thinking on when can I make myself a priority and keeping that schedule.
But it's always, imagine you wake up in the morning, or if you have kids, like I have kids, I know I have to get up early because I want time for myself.
Okay.
Most moms will say, oh, I'll take it at the end of the day, but that doesn't really do you any good, because rest is also something that you must prioritize for the well-being of yourself, and so that you're not crabby in the morning dealing with your kids. So I like to get up a little bit earlier. Initially, it's annoying because why are we doing this? I want to sleep in.
Right.
But then eventually your body syncs to a schedule, and then you're just like, oh, it's that time again.
And you don't need an alarm clock.
You don't
need any of that. Your body just says, okay, this is what we're doing.
Correct. And in those moments, the first thing I do, I lay there and I'm like, oh my God, thank God I woke up. Thank God my kids woke up. My friends woke up. Oh my God, it's about to be a party. Like, everybody's still on this earth breathing. Now, what do I have to do to make myself successful and happy with myself today? Which could just be doing nothing. It could be the fact that, oh my God, you've done so much. Well, you did this and 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 this. And really just, start counting the blessings and break it down really small. You got your kids to school on time. You got them up. You got them in a good routine. You got them being studious. You fed them breakfast. You cleaned it. You really start counting the things.
Oh, when you really start counting. So this is what I started doing this a while back because, as entrepreneurs and as business people, we'll get up and we'll start doing things. So I'm a doer. Mm-hmm. So if I don't write the list,
something's not getting done.
Well, I'm doing multiple things at a time and then I'm not finishing the thing. And at the end of the day, I've done stuff,
but I
haven't finished. Mm-hmm. Right. I haven't completed anything. So one of my things is this is what I do. I write the list for the day of what needs to be done. But then on the other side of that list, if there are things that I did in the day that wasn't on the list.
But you got done.
But I did it.
You better go back and count that.
I put that on the list. Let me tell you why I put that on the list. Because that's cheating. You're not getting the things done that need to get done.
Other things got done.
I need to, at the end of the day, feel accomplished and feel like I've completed things. Because I will go the whole day and feel like, man, I haven't done anything on my list. Ooh. However, this thing happened today, this thing happened, and this thing happened today that didn't allow me
to do those
things. And those things count. And I'm giving myself credit for those things. Absolutely. So that at the end of the day, when I lay my head down, I can go, you know what?
Job well done.
I get to start over again tomorrow, correct. Right?
It's a new day.
Willing. I get to, start over. But I did do something today.
Right.
And I don't have to feel bad that I didn't get the things accomplished.
Correct.
Like it's a whole thing.
But that's, again, here's that structure. The brain is like, no, we have to do this. Think about the automacy of our body. Right now, you've been breathing the whole time and you didn't have to think about it. Mm-hmm. All your organs are working. You don't have to think about it. Fitness and self-care, when we do it right and intentionally, allows us to start to make certain things in our life automatic. Mm-hmm. So it's no longer about having to plan it. It's like, okay, I know that I get up and I'm going to play this music because this music makes me feel well. And that makes me cook good breakfast. Or at this time, I don't like yelling. So I have my devices set up in my house to where alarms go off at certain times of day to remind all of us certain things need to get done. Take the trash out, brush your teeth, quiet down, because then it's like, oh man, Alexa's telling us.
Right.
Versus, my God, my mom won't leave me alone.
Right.
It works.
Okay.
You got to find the things within the things, the joy in the mundane. Okay, my kids like to brush their teeth to this podcast called Chompers.
Okay.
It's a 2-minute podcast that talks about fun facts.
Okay.
And meanwhile, it's like, oh, brush this side, now this side, now this side, now that side. Nobody really likes...
The podcast is telling them when to brush?
When and
that's
where to
actually
brush.
Pretty cool.
It is, again, the intention, right? As a parent, I don't mind going the extra mile to research and find things that can help my kids' brains do what they need to do anyway without me turning into a nag. I'll make it easier for myself. I'll set up the whole thing so it feels like they did it, that they were independent. But really, I was the puppet master the whole time.
Well, it then teaches them, even though you orchestrated that, like you said, it gives them routine, it gives them structure. But at the end of the day, it allows them to be responsible for the things. Because once they get into that routine, when the podcast is gone, they're still doing the brushing their teeth for the 2 minutes. Like that is ingrained and it doesn't go away.
Correct.
And like you were saying about creating routine, I know, okay, so I walked for 30 days straight. Rain, whether it rained, whether it didn't matter what it was. I was outside, I was drenched, I was, whatever. Right. But I did that for that 30 days. And then you don't do it one day and it's, whoa,
changes the whole
wait a minute, what's happening here? I don't feel right. Let me go. So I've been out at night walking.
Trying to make sure you get that feeling.
Yeah, because it's like, oh no, I'm missing something from my day.
Imagine that we as a society are so imbalanced that we fight balance. Like, I would rather make unhealthy choices knowing that the consequence whether it's today, tomorrow, 5 years from now. I don't want to delay gratification. I want it right now.
Mhm.
But that's not self-love. Self-love is being like, okay, I deserve the benefits of walking, the benefits of being able to breathe better, the benefits of being more joyous.
Mhm.
I deserve those things, but in order to get them, I have to go do it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very interesting how we, like I said, we put everything in the way of prioritizing our self-care, and we feel guilty about it and we feel bad about it. And, if I do this for me,
Mm-hmm.
something that makes me feel good,
Hmm.
right? Something that allows me to feel balanced and fulfilled.
Right.
I'm doing something wrong.
But that's, again, capitalism. I
Yeah.
can't let you feel good because then what would you need me for?
Mm.
I need you to buy this product and those products and these proteins. And I need you to go spend your money on these things and this stuff.
Well, we don't need any of those things.
Right.
If we just eat the right things that we're supposed to eat, which brings us to
I have a smoothie book.
You have a smoothie book.
Correct.
Talking about eating right. So tell us about your smoothie book.
Again, another phenomenal piece of realizing self-greatness, right? Through self-care, I began to know myself better. And again, thanks to my sons, they always push and encourage me. So I used to, when they were very little, make them smoothies all the time, religiously. And I used to tease, oh my goodness, if you want a very intelligent and quiet child, give them a smoothie. You feed them full of nutrients and then they're quiet because they're just the whole time, right? 2020, my oldest was like, Mom, your smoothies are great. You should make a book. And of course, not loving myself. Oh, what? My kid's just being my kid. He loves me because I'm his mom. But something in there was like, no, he believes. So why don't you believe? Like, just try it. You and I worked together on this book and I fought you tooth and nail.
Oh my goodness. Y'all don't know. Okay. So I do all the things.
Mhm.
I'm not just the podcast host and the relationship coach and the
Kid Expo.
right, and the nonprofit owner and the all of the things. I'm all of the things,
You're
guys.
all of the things.
Y'all don't know half of the things, but all of the
Renaissance
things.
woman.
What? Huh?
You're a Renaissance woman.
Okay, I'll take that. But I also create books for people that I love. Okay, don't come in my inbox talk about make a book for me.
Right.
But
that's a service.
It is a service.
We gotta pay for
it.
it.
It's definitely service. But we created this smoothie book, and it was getting the recipes together. It's what does this look like? Right. It was all the things. And yes, she fought me.
I was like, what if we just don't put any of this in there?
Right. So it even became, look, I don't even care. Just put all the things in there. And I'm like,
do whatever you want.
We are not going to work like this.
Right. She's like,
we're not going to work like this.
But imagine what you were dealing with was my own self-hate. And that's what we go through in the world. I'm projecting my negative energy on you, like we talked about in the beginning. So now, because I don't want to do it, because I don't believe in myself, I don't believe it's worthy, I don't believe whatever, I'm going to tell you, no, why do we have to do this? Because it's not going to work. I don't not believe in you. I don't believe in me. So you can't do it because I can't do it. I had to change that. But in creating the book, I think the greatest thing you said to me was, everybody doesn't have to like it. And I was like, wait, what? Okay. I have to like it. I have to know that there's a reason why I put this out here. And it is because I believe in the recipes. I believe the studies that made me create the book. I believe that our people have a very, very uneducated palate simply because of history. We've been taught to eat trash. And then that system has been replicated in public schools. So now it's ingrained in everything that we do, to where you can't convince someone who's never eaten something, blueberries or whatever, to try it because it's good for their health, because they're like, no, I've never liked it or I've never tried it. Smoothies are the easiest way to get all of that into your body.
The greens, all of that.
All the antioxidants, all the fiber, all the fruit, all the actual sugar that you're supposed to have.
The natural sugars.
The natural sugar. You can have as much of it as you want. Now, I understand people with diabetes have their own treatment plan, so I'm not saying that. But I am saying that I can have more fruit than I can have processed sugar at any point. It seems higher, but it's natural because it was made the same way we were.
So, okay. So we have the fitness journey. We have, making yourself a priority. We have setting those goals, right? And sticking to that schedule and creating a plan and creating boundaries around. Let's talk, I don't think we touched on actual boundaries and how we create those boundaries around prioritizing our self. So let's talk to that for just a second.
Okay.
So how do you create those boundaries for your own self-care?
This is, again, where self-care is a journey of knowing yourself. You've got to know what your actual boundaries are. You and I have had conversations where you're like, you dealt with that for a long time. I personally wouldn't have did that. But that's because our boundaries were different. So it's realizing if this boundary is here, what is it doing? Is it helping, harming, or serving me? Because if it's here and it's serving me, cool, then it can stay. But if I got this boundary or this standard that's here and every time I keep it here, it hurts me, I need to readjust that boundary. And even if that's me with myself, I may be like, oh, I'm a superwoman. I can do all these things. But then if at every time I am canceling appointments or whatever, because I've over promised, now I'm under delivering. Now I'm not being the superwoman that I say I am because I'm not honoring what I can actually do. And that sometimes looks like overwhelm. So many people that do all the things. And then the next thing you know, they've died of a heart attack. Because they didn't ask for help. Or they were just smiling the whole time. Everything's fine. It's okay. Having the boundaries, learning yourself allows you to create the boundaries that keep you protected as opposed to being guarded. There are some boundaries that we create because of our environment that are really guards that are keeping people out, as opposed to self-control. A boundary is not me imposing something on you. It is something that I will do. So if you are disrespectful, I will no longer talk to you. That's my boundary to keep myself safe. You can do whatever you want to do over here by yourself. But again, self-care allows us to be like, okay, this really actually hurts.
Yes.
This doesn't feel good. I don't like this. Now I have to not put a wall up, but I have to make a measure, an escape plan, something that is going to allow me to deal with this. Again, this is the resilience. To be able to deal with this and still live happy and healthy. It's not going to send me up a wire because you called me Jara. Like, oh my God, I'm not going to shoot up the store because you pronounced my name wrong. But for some people, the things that are going on in their mind and their spirits and their bodies are so hectic that little thing will be
Just
the catalyst.
Yes. I always tell singles that everyone has their enough point. And that's the boundary.
Right.
So my enough point might be 3 days.
Right.
Yours might be 3 weeks. Somebody else might be 3 months. Somebody else, you know what I mean?
Correct.
Somebody else might be 30 years, you know? And until they create and enforce that boundary that they have, it's going to create that issue for them always. So, we're always talking about relationships here. So how do couples, because, when you're with somebody all the time, it's hard to prioritize yourself. It's one thing if you're single.
Right.
right?
Right.
And then you can do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do it. But when you are with a partner, sometimes, a lot of times, because people will say, "Oh, I lost myself," or "I don't know myself anymore,"
They
or
didn't
any of
actually
those
have
things,
themselves
right?
to begin with, in my opinion. You can't
Well,
get...
no, sometimes you do get into a relationship and you find yourself engulfed in that relationship, and then you feel like you're losing yourself because now it's all we. It used to be just me,
Right, and I
but
get that.
now it's we.
But imagine with knowing yourself, being more empathetic, now you're able to communicate better.
Mhm.
I can tell you my deepest triggers without being triggered. We can have greater conversation. So I know now as a single person, now granted, when I was single and just didn't know these things, I can see getting lost. But now that I know myself, ain't no way I can lose me. There's no way that I can stop being me, to the point where when I start dating people, hey, I need you to know I'm a very active lady. I like to be dated. It doesn't have to cost money, but we do have to intentionally go and do things to try to get to know one another, because we're constantly changing.
Mhm.
And I don't actually know you, bro.
Right, but when you're talking about being in a relationship and actually losing yourself, I don't think that it is in the losing yourself or not knowing yourself. I think it's because the me turns into we, and now we're doing everything together. And I'm not creating that boundary that you're talking about of I need to prioritize my self-care. Even though we can walk together, we can exercise
Mhm.
together, we can do all these things, but there are some things that I need to do for me. And in creating that, and then your partner
Respects that.
respecting that, because a
Mhm.
lot of times partners will feel like why are you doing it without me, or why, all of those things. So now kind of speak to that for me, and for the audience, and how can you get your partner to not feel like you're pushing them to the side when you're trying to prioritize yourself. And trust me, I understand that your partner needs to realize
Right.
that you need to prioritize yourself as they need to prioritize themselves. But how do we, bridge that gap of
Well, it's about inclusion and, again, communication. Because you never know, your partner may actually like the thing that you're doing, and for whatever reason just doesn't know how to say that to you. So they're being maybe annoying or facetious because they want to join you because of, imagine the dopamine that you get from running. Now the two of you get the same amount of dopamine and you share it together. So like a dance fitness instructor, I know that when people get the good feeling from dancing, they attribute it to me, even though they did the work. I was just here. So imagine now that's your partner. Now you're working out together. Now, granted, you don't have to do everything together, because a man may want to lift heavier than I want to lift, and you go over there and do that. But there are certain things that you can discuss doing together for the shared experience of individual and couple growth. I can see that you're working very hard and you see me working very hard. And then again, we're on purpose creating space for ourselves to exist as whoever we see ourselves. So I'm not tying you down to who I think you are. I'm clear in my understanding of myself and know that I change daily, so that I can respect. Again, here comes that empathy and understanding from learning yourself. I can respect you because I'm changing. You must be changing. And if you're opposite than me, women change different than men. Men don't go through menopause. But men go through things, I'm sure, that women don't go through. But we both have an understanding that we're going through different things. So it's the understanding of communication. And again, if you have personal boundaries, for my clients that are older, they're always like, oh, we knew ourselves. So there wasn't as much trouble as maybe when I was in my 20s. And so that's why I kind of stick to if you know yourself, there's going to be areas in which, yes, because it's new, but you'll always come back to that recenter of yourself, because you are an individual first before you are a couple. A great reference, even though not many people like this show for this reason, but Dwayne, Wayne, and Whitley, in what you call it, I can't think of the name right now.
Different World.
Yes. There's a part where he's like, listen, You're not going to come in and tell me that I can't watch my basketball game and I can't do this and I can't do that because I was doing these things before you existed.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine as a person who already has a firm ability. I know my hobbies, I know my likes, I know my dislikes. You can't come in and tell me. Now we can come in and work together and see how we can meld, how where I fit in your life and you fit in my life. And there are some areas that I really want to be with you, super heavy. And there are other areas that I'm like, respectfully, I ain't need you anywhere near this.
Right.
And you can stay away from that if that's what you so choose, because it doesn't bother me anyway, but you know that I do these things. So it's, again.
So when you're talking about knowing yourself, it's not, you're talking more in the sense of these are the things that I like to do and I don't have to put them on the back burner because you came along.
Correct.
I am still doing the same things that I love to do.
Correct.
And not allowing the relationship to keep me from doing those things.
Correct.
I understand that completely. It's like it's prioritizing yourself in that way, and that you're thinking, I'm not going to let this relationship keep me from doing the things that I love. I love the person.
Right.
And if we can do the things together, like you were saying,
even better.
If we can do the things together, that's great. But I like that it seems like the dynamic of we can prioritize our self-care and we don't have to do it alone.
Correct.
You can be there while I'm taking care of myself.
It's actually even better.
But
if you're not, it's not gonna. Don't let it. When people don't have goals of health and wellness collectively, one person is gonna get frustrated. So, and in dating, right? If a man is not already taking care of himself, he doesn't have to be buff. He doesn't have to be anything other than consistent. He won't understand my level of discipline. And because of his own personal habits, he will try to make me adopt his habits, whether he's intending to or not. And that's going to be a point of contention because how dare you stop me from taking care of myself? You actually like the fact that I take care of myself so well. You came over here to see about what was going on because you didn't realize how disciplined I was. What you saw and were attracted to is my discipline, my ambition, my drive, my ability to plan. That's what you see when you see the aesthetic that is come
But when
together.
you don't see what goes into...
Correct.
I see your physique. I see, that you're obviously taking care of yourself. But, I didn't know what it took to do the things.
Right.
And so now, I'm looking at that. We can go on and on about that in particular and how people see what they want to see on the outside, but don't really understand what it took to get there. And then when they find out what it takes to get there,
like, bruh, I ain't even about
they
that.
ain't down. They not about that life. They really are not down for it. Tell us where we can find your book.
Oh, yes. Well, personally, if you see me in the streets, I got a trunk full, I'm always hustling. But if you're not, locally in Virginia, you can get it on Amazon. I also have a PayHip. There's a couple other things up there. I have a goal setting worksheet. I believe that you helped me create that as well.
Okay, that might have.
You know what I'm saying? We work together.
We have.
It's a relationship I like to continue.
So they can go to Amazon and get the book.
Or on PayHip, which is on my website, which you can find either on any of my social media platforms, whether it's my personal Facebook, Jara Clark, or Fit Goddess Tribe, legit on every social media platform, TikTok, YouTube. Not LinkedIn. LinkedIn is still my personal Instagram. Thank you. I'm like, there's so many now.
So Fit Goddess Tribe.
Fit Goddess Tribe.
Everywhere. Website. Fit Goddess Tribe. Okay. And this was a great conversation on self prioritizing and understanding that it has to be done.
Yeah. I mean, remember, we want to live to some degree an indulgent life that is pleasurable.
And that it's okay to be pleasurable. It's okay to dance.
It's okay to have fun. It's okay to love yourself. It's okay to touch yourself, to touch your partner. If you learn how to massage yourself, you'll be able to tell your partner better the level of pressure, where you really like it, you know, those sorts of
That's
things.
a whole other show we going into right there. That's a whole other show right there.
Absolutely. But I mean, fitness requires that. And that's another good thing about the partner workouts. Afterwards, stretching together.
Yes.
Because that's another show.
That's another show. That's a whole thing right there. Okay. So, this was awesome. This was great. It's always a pleasure to sit down and have a conversation with you and be enlightened by just fitness and wellness and inside and outside. And it's not just about taking care of your body.
Right.
Wellness is taking care of your whole self. And there are things that you can do with your partner to take care of your mind.
Correct.
To take care of your emotions, all of those things. So just starting to get past just the physical fitness of things.
Correct.
And really talk about, emotions. And wellness could be you have a 10-minute conversation, no phone, uninterrupted, just really focusing on your partner.
Correct.
A day. A day, 10 minutes a day. It seems like a long time. It really is not.
It's not. I mean, think about it. The hour that I would recommend for people to go to the gym, that's only 4% of your day. 4%. That's really not a lot. And out of all the other hours you dedicate to legit everybody else, and you're only going to give yourself 4. That sounds wild.
Listen, even though it's physical, I bought myself a walking treadmill.
Oh, no, I want one.
Okay, yes, I will give you the info. I bought myself a walking treadmill, and if I'm watching TV,
right,
why am I not walking? It's inside of my house.
Correct. Or stretching.
The same amount of time that I'm using to watch the TV and to sit in the bed and watch it is the same amount of time that I'm getting in my exercise.
Correct.
And we all have the same 24 hours. We truly do. And so
it ain't different.
Listen, we truly do. And we need to make the most of it and be grateful. For every hour that we have.
That's right.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure talking with you. Yes. And be healthy, be wise, be good to yourself, folks. And make sure you self-prioritize.
Yeah, be self-full. It's not selfish. Be self-full.
Be self-full. Make sure you guys subscribe. Like this, it's a whole thing. It's a whole vibe on this couch. And I want y'all to have all of the goodness that comes from this couch. Subscribe, get the ding, follow the Dating Mechanic on all social media, and we will see you the next time on the Dating Mechanic Show.
Peace.